So Casey Anthony, one of the most hated people in all of the United States, is trying to make a comeback on TikTok as a legal advocate. She recently made a TikTok account and posted a couple videos, and within that short time frame, those two videos have gone super viral, obviously because Casey is just extremely hated by the public. I've seen a lot of videos of people's reaction to her making a TikTok account, and they all basically say, "You murdered your daughter, get the heck off our platform." Now, if you're unfamiliar as to why Casey is so incredibly despised, I'll break it down, but I'm only going to tell the short version of events and what you really need to know, as this is a long story and there's a lot of little details. But long story short, on July 15, 2008, Casey Anthony's daughter Kaylee is reported missing by Cindy, who is Casey's mom. Then the next day, July 16th, Casey was arrested and charged with child neglect, giving false statements, and obstruction. Then later that year, on October 14th, she was indicted on first-degree murder charges in connection with Kaylee's death, as she was the #1 suspect. And unfortunately, on December 11th, Kaylee Anthony's skeletal remains were found near the Anthony family home. And then nearly 3 years after Casey was initially arrested, on May 24th, 2011, she had her murder trial. And then later that year, on July 5th, she was ultimately found not guilty of murder despite all of the evidence that was stacked against her, but was convicted on misdemeanor charges. And this whole timeline and everything I just said is all according to an article by people.com, which will be linked in the description if you want to read it. But if you want a more in-depth look at the case, there's this great video by JCS Criminal Psychology, which not only goes over the Casey Anthony case in its entirety, but it also provides a lot of evidence and points to Casey as her being the one who's responsible for her daughter Kaylee's murder. And if you want to watch that video, just click on the card in the upper right hand corner, it'll take you straight to it. But ever since the verdict was revealed, people have been extremely outraged by it, as the vast majority of people believe that she is guilty, including me. I wholeheartedly believe that she is responsible for Kaylee's death. But anyways, ever since she was found not guilty, she has tried on numerous occasions to defend herself, including making a documentary where she not only tries to prove her own innocence, but she also accuses her dad of staging Kaylee's murder to try and cover up his sexual assault, according to that same article from people.com. And with all that being said, we are now officially caught up to today, where Casey has a TikTok account and she's trying to come back as a legal advocate. She's only posted 2 videos, but both of those videos have garnered over 11.3 million views, and she's turned off the comments on both of them, obviously because she's extremely hated. And the first video she posted is over 3 minutes long, so I'll go ahead and sum it up. She says that she's starting a new series as a legal advocate where she's advocating for both herself and her daughter, and she wants to give a voice to people, and she also wants you to join her Substack, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a subscription-based Twitter for writers where people can post newsletters and things like that directly to their subscribers. So again, it's like a subscription-based Twitter. And after this, she talks about how important it is for people to protect their privacy and continues to go on about Substack, and that's pretty much it. And the second video is just her again promoting her Substack and also talking about how there's a bunch of impersonation accounts, and that's the one that she uses. And that's it. Those are the only 2 videos she has on there. As of recording this video, it's March 16th, so that could easily change. But ever since she joined TikTok and posted her first video, she has blown up, and the reaction has been anything but positive, as like I said earlier on in this video, people are uniting against her and collectively telling her, get the heck off our platform. I've seen numerous videos of people bashing Casey. I mean, this situation has got so big that Ray William Johnson made a video talking about it. And that's actually how I found out about this whole thing. I was just doom scrolling one day and some video on my For You page pops up talking about how she's trying to join TikTok and how she doesn't deserve a platform. But surprisingly enough, I have found some comments and videos of people defending and supporting Casey, claiming that she's innocent, which I personally think is a load of crap, because if she truly was innocent in all of this, why on earth did she wait 30 days, the equivalent of the month of April, to call the police and report Kaylee missing? And in fact, it wasn't even her that called the police in the first place, it was her mother, which already is extremely suspicious, because anybody in a situation where their 2-year-old child goes missing would call the cops within the first 24 hours of their disappearance. Furthermore, right before Kaylee went missing, Casey had foolproof suffocation in her search history, and shortly after her daughter's disappearance, she was seen out partying multiple times, and there were actually some photos taken of her, and some of which I'll put up on the screen right now. Furthermore, why would she go out of her way to lie to and mislead detectives during the case? In fact, at one point when she was first talking to detectives, Casey claimed that there was a babysitter named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez that kidnapped Kaylee, but when the police looked into Zenaida, or as Casey called her, Zanny the nanny, and no, I'm not kidding, they found out that Zenaida does not exist. She is a completely made up person. And in another instance, Casey was taking the detectives to potential points of interest, and one of those was Universal Studios, which was a place she claimed to work at, and she walked with the detectives for over 20 minutes, at which point she led them to a building and basically threw her hands up in the air and admitted that she didn't work there. Like, why would she do that? Was she just trying to troll the detectives? In which case, wow, she sure freaking got him. The joke was so funny, the detectives forgot to laugh. But anyways, at some point to her being in the county jail, she makes a phone call where she talks to her family and eventually her best friend, and she tries to get them to give her boyfriend Tony's number. And of course, at this point, they all know what's going on, so they ask her about Kaylee, and Casey sounds downright annoyed that they're even asking about this. Like, she's pretty much like, oh, how dare they ask me about my missing daughter. In fact, here's a small clip from that conversation where she describes calling them as a huge waste.
Hello? Hi, I'm glad everybody's at my house. Do me a favor, get my brother back because I need Tony's number.
Does Tony have anything to do with Kaylee?
No, nothing.
Okay, so why do you want to talk to Tony?
He's my boyfriend, and I want to actually try to sit and talk to him because I didn't get a chance to talk to him earlier because I got arrested on whim today. I just want to talk to Tony, get a little bit of...
Casey, you have to tell me if you know anything about Kaylee.
Sweetheart,
if anything happens to Kaylee, Casey, I'll die. You understand? I'll die. If anything happens to that baby.
Oh my God. Calling you guys? A waste. Huge waste.
It's honestly sad that Casey's friends and family were more concerned about her daughter Kaylee than she was. Also, before we go any further, I just want to say that all of the evidence that I'm talking about come from the JCS criminal psychology video and the people.com article that I've been quoting throughout this video. But despite all of the evidence that was stacked against her and pointing to her being the one responsible for Kaylee's death, she still was found not guilty by the jury. Which I don't know how the heck that was the verdict, as anybody that looks into the details of this case is like, yep, lock this woman up. She is definitely guilty. And if you're wondering why this was the overall verdict by the jury, according to another article from people.com, one of the jurors actually spoke to them and said, "Generally, none of us liked Casey at all," he told People. "She seems like a horrible person, but the prosecutors did not give us enough evidence to convict. They gave us a lot of stuff that makes us think she probably did something wrong, but not beyond a reasonable doubt." Oh my freaking gosh, man. Either all of the evidence that I talked about in this video just wasn't brought up in court, or the prosecution did a horrendous job. But either way, she was found not guilty in a court of law, has been walking free since 2011, and is now trying to make a platform for herself on TikTok. It's a crazy world we live in, but this whole case, ever since I learned about it, has just left me feeling very angry in all honesty, solely because of the injustice that was failed to be delivered. I still wholeheartedly believe Casey Anthony is responsible for her daughter Kaylee's death, and hopefully one day we'll see Casey finally face justice, but until that day, we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. And that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you for watching, and yeah, peace.